This is a small thing, really. It's not really a very big deal, but I want to talk about it just because there's no winning. And Joe Rogan is right about wokeness and woke culture. And so on his podcast the other day, he was having a conversation with some comedian, and he said this, and I don't think this is in any way controversial. I think this is a logical inevitability, and you'll hear this directly from the mouths of progressives. He says, it keeps going further and further down the line. If you get to the point where you capitulate, where you agree to all these demands, he's talking about woke culture, obviously, it'll eventually get to straight white men are not allowed to talk. Yeah? I mean, they've been saying this for years. We don't want to hear from straight white men. We want to hear from marginalized voices, the oppressed. They just say this straight up and outright. So this is a controversial opinion from Joe Rogan saying what they say. And the reason is their reason. Because it's your privilege to express yourself when other people of color have been silenced throughout history. Yeah?
He just proved his point like that, didn't you? Like, him saying things doesn't matter because he's got a privileged position.
And they argue, well, you know, people of color have been oppressed throughout history by the white man, and therefore this is the axis of justification they have for revenge. But he says it will be, you're not allowed to go outside because there are so many people who are in prison for so many years. I'm not joking. It really will get there. It's that crazy. So Joe Rogan has basically arrived at the Sargonian position on wokeness. And he says, we just got to be nice to each other, man. There's a lot of people that are taking advantage of this weirdness in our culture, and then that becomes their thing. Their thing is calling out the people for their privilege, calling out people for their position. You know, it's effing crazy times. How's he wrong? What's he saying there that's not accurate? Like, I mean, like Twitter is a hive of what are essentially now professional woke activists that spend their time cancelling people, and they're open about cancelling people. This is completely based on racial and gender and innate lines, and this is not in any way shocking. And yet this was trending on Twitter all, you know, this morning and last night because Joe Rogan has said something that we resemble and we hate it. But the thing is, this is definitely true. I mean, if we go to the next one, Mark Drakeford in Wales was sat there mulling over the male curfew. It's like, oh, should we have this male curfew? Well, that's what they're considering. Like, that's genuinely their thoughts, because they genuinely see men as being this eternal, historic oppressor, white men particularly, this eternal, historic oppressor of everyone.
In all times, in all places.
In all times, in all places. Like, you know, I mean, honestly, I think they are bigging up white men a bit too much.
Make him sound like gods.
Yeah, exactly. They're not that impressive, to be honest. I know I'm one of them, you know. They're just not that great.
Just lads, all right?
Yeah, just you know, just applying the standards.
But also, you said about, like, it's hives of people on Twitter. I think we should be a bit more bigging them up, let's say. Because, I mean, they are the strength and force behind the Labour Party and also a large swathe of the Democratic Party these days. I mean, two huge parties that control politics in the West.
But they also can... The woke ideology basically controls the entertainment industry, it controls media, it controls academia, it controls woke corporations, which propagandize people, and now we've got woke military, where Joe Biden was making the military to fight climate change.
Or the RAF here, saying that you must learn 12 new pronouns and use them correctly at all times.
So, woke ideology is being proselytized everywhere, and it is going to sit there and go, well, okay, so men are the problem, so, I mean, men shouldn't talk. And there are so many examples where people will literally be told they're not allowed to speak in this space because this is a safe space for whatever, and therefore we are literally going to prioritize, you know, marginalized voices. So even if a white man has something relevant to say, he's not allowed to say it because he's white.
He doesn't have the lived experience.
Doesn't have the lived experience.
Might have a PhD.
Yeah, sure.
But doesn't matter.
What good's that? But this is basically the attitude. And so you get like stuff like this. This is just an old example where it's a Netflix comedy show where, like, you know, straight white men are cancelled. Ha ha ha. Okay. How about we have white women? Can we cancel them? That'd be funny, actually. See, I'm already laughing. Can I use it on my wife?
Specifically her.
Yeah, specifically
her.
You. Her, Samantha B, and then we'll carry on. But this is the point, right? It's not just like this sort of stuff. The idea that sort of like, you know, straight white men won't be represented anywhere, which is what Joe Rogan is essentially saying, is already happening. I mean, look at, like, what's the latest one? The next one is Black Captain America. So why not?
Or the Black Anne Boleyn, for example.
Yeah, Black Anne Boleyn, Black Captain America, Black
I'm looking
this.
forward to the White George Floyd movie.
Yeah, yeah. Can we go to the next one, John? So we can see it. There's this guy, and if you scroll down a bit, I think they have a picture of him as Captain America. And it's like, there we go. Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. That's the new Captain America. I mean, I don't care. Why not?
Like, you can tell because it's not about the fact that it's a story thing or anything like that. It's just, why did you want him black? Because of diversity.
Yeah. Why is Anne Boleyn black? Because diversity. Why is this person black? Diversity. Is that okay?
Do you see people complaining about Friends again yesterday?
Oh, yeah. There were no black people on Friends, and therefore Friends is haram. Amazing. It's amazing. And stunning and brave.
Did you know there are white people in England, therefore England's bad? I mean, that's essentially the argument.
Well, not in Luton.
Till Lauren Southern comes there again.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, Luton. Yeah, Lauren, I'm sorry. The one white person left in Luton, please leave.
So says the British police.
The British police of vice and virtue are here to defend the honour of Islam. But anyway, so the thing is, though, there was no big kickback against this, and there were progressive articles essentially asking, well, where are the racists? Why aren't they bothered about this? It's like, dude. This is the most old hat thing in the world. You know, you blackwashing things so you can wear a skin suit of something someone else has done and be like, haha, this is mine now. Take it.
Like the all-female Ghostbusters as well.
Yeah, all female.
It's not just race.
No, it's not just race. It's anything that's not authentic. That's the thing. It's like, we have an identity, we have a category. We want to literally just pull your trappings on, wear them as a skin suit. See, applaud me. It's like, what's there to applaud? It's gross. It's macabre. It's like wearing someone else's face. It's like something Hannibal Lecter would do. It's got the same sort of moral intonations as a serial killer. It's disgusting. Like,
I just see the chat being like, let's remake Rorke's Drift, and it's like white Zulus and black Britishmen.
Why not? David Lammy there. Get back, savages. Like,
no, the other guy, you got like these skinny white guys just being like, oh God, I'd pay to see that. That'd be good.
I would pay to see that. That'd be good quality entertainment. But that's the point, though, isn't it? It would be a question of authenticity, and it would be totally inauthentic. But no, all of this inauthenticity is good for Hollywood, I'm sure, which is why all of their things are going down the pan. But anyway, so let's just have a quick look at the Twitter reaction, I guess. Joe Rogan really thinks that straight white men are fighting for their right to continue to be allowed to speak. He's that insecure about people in other demographics finally getting a shot at an equal voice. What an effing loser. I mean, I think if you can call Joe Rogan a lot of things, but a loser is really one of them. I mean, he just got paid $100 million.
Where's your 100 mil?
Yeah, where's your 100 million Palmer report? Anyway, it's not about an equal voice, is it? It's about literally deliberately erasing people because of the color of their skin. The next one is Jay Railing. I don't know who that is. Joe Rogan says if the woke mob wins, straight white men won't be allowed to talk. Yes. Straight white men. Victims since checks history book. Absolutely never. Okay. But Joe is speaking about future events. Why do you need to check history?
But also,
what good would that do with you?
Also historically wrong here. I mean, this is one of the things with American leftists. They've never been outside of America.
Yeah.
So, like, take the Cornwall situation, like the North African slave traders coming up to Cornwall, stealing Cornishmen and turning them into slaves.
Cornish men, Cornish women.
Cornish women, men.
Yes, and I love the way, as if no one from Eastern Europe has ever been the victim of, say, someone of darker complexion. Because that was what they were thinking about when the Ottomans were literally stealing Christian children and turning them into soldiers.
Or North Korea, actually.
Or North Korea.
As I've mentioned, there was people who intermarried during the Korean War, and then their marriages were annulled, and they got sent back.
Yeah, but we're specifically talking about, like, Europeans here. So when have Europeans ever been the victim?
It was Polish and Romanian.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so, I mean, the Ottomans literally stole children and turned them into child slave soldiers for hundreds of years. But, I mean, straight white men never been victims, according to some prick who's never left the United States. But even then, a lot of white men have died for noble causes. Are they victims of anything? And the real problem with this is it implies that any rights that you have are in fact predicated on your victimhood. I don't agree that you have to be a victim of something to have a right. But anyway, next one is guys like Joe Rogan not being allowed to talk. Sounds like a win for humanity in general. Well, thank you, John Pavlovitz. You got 1,600 likes for that. That must have been the highlight of your day. 1,700. It's just clocked up. You're a really popular guy on Twitter, Mr. Pavlovitz. The next one is, I don't know, Joe Rogan being forced to shut up seems like a feature and not a bug. Okay, I agree. I completely agree. You agree that white men need to shut up for the sake of diversity.
It's a feature of wokeness.
It's a feature of wokeness. I love it when you just mask off. Be like, yeah, we hate white men. Now back to our regularly scheduled programming. You know, and then the next one, this is Ellie in New York City.
This is that nut job, isn't it?
I don't know. Can you scroll over her bio a sec?
It's a him. You know,
is it him? Is it?
It was like he lived in his house as a black man, and he was like, it was my own Wakanda.
Oh,
it's
yes,
that guy.
Yes, right, it's that guy. Yeah. So lunatic, basically.
Full on lunatic.
Full on lunatic. Verified lunatic. Can Joe Rogan point to one day in American history where straight white men shut the F up? Why would they need to? If you start the clock in 1787, they've had roughly 85,500 opportunities to give it a rest for a day and never once let the goddamn earth spin without offering an opinion. You know what's weird is that outside of America, most people, just generally, including straight white men, just didn't have free speech. They just didn't have it. So they had to shut the F up whenever the people in charge, the aristocrats, the tyrants, would tell them to. And America is pretty much the only place on earth that has had a consistent tradition of free speech. Like, seriously, it's such an unbelievable privilege that nothing Ellie can say on Twitter will get them sent to jail and in trouble with the authorities. And it's all because of straight white men. And it's just like, God, I wish straight women would just shut up. It's like, the reason you don't have to shut up is because of straight white men.
Like, it's not true here that we have those rights.
No. And we'll talk about that, in fact, in the next segment, which we may as well kind of roll into in a second. But, I mean, like, it's just embarrassing watching them. Like, They don't seem to understand that all of the power structures are in their favor, right? You can't point to a power structure that doesn't support Ellie here. Like, you can't point to a power structure that hasn't genuflected towards Black Lives Matter or, you know, the rainbow flag or the black flag of Labour or whatever it is. You know, you can't point to a power structure that doesn't. If you enjoyed this segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can watch the full broadcast live every weekday at 1 p.m. UK time on lotuseaters.com.